Again, Gold and Foster on row 1, Porto and Siegel row 2, Ahmed and Miller row 3, De Alba alongside Green on row 4, Garg and Sundermurthy row 5, row 6 will be Eves and Brown, row 7 Missing and Brewer, and row 8 will be Marcos Flack. This event scheduled for 30 laps, but of course with the issue we have now, of course we're going to be chasing the sunset here. We still have USF 2000. We still have the practice for the ARCA Menard Series as well to come out here. So we have shortened this race to 22 laps for Indy Pro 2000. We'll find out exactly the race distance that we'll have for USF 2000. So a bit of a shortened race here. And again, 22 laps or 30 minutes for the drivers here in Indy Pro. So if we do end up having some kind of a yellow, we could end up coming up against the time limit as opposed to running the straight 22 lap distance. Good compromise, I believe, from the race control for the Road to Indy, doing the best we can with this shortened amount of time from the end of IndyCar to sunset here at Portland International Raceway. Excited to have a lot of great partners along board with us here this weekend. Cooper Tires, of course, a bunch of guests, as well as Performance Friction Brakes here with us this weekend here. And again, awesome to have a lot of great guests on board as part of what is our season finale for the 2022 season here. Looking forward to the cap of the USF Junior Series, our development program that runs at Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas in 2 weeks' time. And then really, we're only about a month and a half away from looking towards 2023, our Road to Indy Fall Combine at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the road course, taking place on October 22nd, 23rd. See a number of drivers will be sampling equipment who may want to be part of the program. We'll see drivers from USF 2000 jumping up to Indy Pro. So should be interesting. It'll be a lot of fun at that Fall Combine. But it's time to go racing right now. Reese Gold on the inside. He will set the pace. Your newly crowned Indy Pro 2000 champion, Louis Foster, on the outside. Time to go racing here with race number 2. We'll be back tomorrow for race number 3. Out of turn number 12. Time to get things fired up for the drivers here in Indy Pro. 250 horsepower behind each and every one of these drivers at lead engines. The builders, and we are green, racing down into turn number 1. Did they learn anything? They'll still go wide. Couple of drivers locking up brakes from further back. 3 wide. Yuvan Sundermurthy on the inside. A couple of drivers on the outside trying to hold on. Good so far through 1 and 2. And I think potentially one driver may be in trouble. No, they've all been able to get through cleanly. Excellent job this time around. 22 lapper. You can see some better racing further back. Sundermurthy, Eves, Brown, Missing all going at it there. Deeper in the field, but Reese Gold has been able to jump away to the lead. Louis Foster slotting back into 3rd spot. I think a great start for Kiko Porto. He's gone up to 2nd. So Gold leads. Kiko Porto now into 2nd spot. It is Foster in 3rd, but look at this battle for 4th and 5th. Jack William Miller in the number 40, getting super aggressive, trying to get by Anam Ahmed. They'll go side by side down the back straightaway to turn number 10. How does it end up? Miller's on the outside. Does he hold it? No. He's got to give that up as Ahmed with a better run. That's, Phil, if you're on the outside there and can roll the outside, you've got the inside at turn number 11, right? Miller would have had to go super deep to do it. Ahmed, though, holding the spot. He'll grab the apex of turn number 11. When you have the apex of 11, you got the exit of turn number 12.
Exactly. And with Louis Foster, this right now is more like a seat time, track time. He's already won the championship, but you still have other drivers battling for point positions, correct?
Yeah, let's just be real. Foster's got the championship, but he does not want to lay down right now. You don't want to just say, hey, you know what, a couple of top 5s. He wants to keep winning races. He had a chance to go over to talk to a couple of the IndyCar teams after winning that championship. You know, you go over and get the fist bump, the handshake from the team owners. Hey, we hope to have you in our Indy Lights car next year. We'd love to see you in IndyCar. But yeah, there are drivers that are battling still for position. You know, Reese Gold runs in 2nd spot right now. You've got Nolan Siegel in 4th. Josh Green's trying to fight his way up. You got a driver like Salvador de Alba coming off that win at Worldwide Technology Raceway. He's got a chance to go to P3 in the championship if he has a really good run. Top 5, not out of the realm of possibility for de Alba. So everybody here scraping, because when it's all said and done, nobody looks back really at all the races where you finish consistently 5th, 6th, and 7th. They look at the points. Where were you in the points?
Exactly. Oh, right? We got one in trouble.
A couple drivers off coming through turn number 10 and 11. One of those drivers a turn 3 motorsports car. So contact between at least 2 drivers coming through turn 10 and 11. And again, shaking things up a little bit. One driver going all the way, in fact, a couple of them all the way off the escape road, and they'll come up the drag strip back onto the racetrack. And look at this fight back there for 6th, 7th, and 8th. I want to say that is Eves in the fight, indeed, alongside, I think, Sundermurthy. Man, they are going at it further back. Drivers involved. That was Sundermurthy, actually, who fell to the tail of the field. And Josh Green. So Josh Green and Yuvan Sundermurthy falling back to 14th and 15th. Here's that fight, though. near the tail of the field, and that is going to be Missig, Eves, Flack, Brown, Garg, and Brewer. That's the fight at the tail, essentially running 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th. Leader, though, starting to check out is Gold over Kiko Porto. Let's have a look at the action. I didn't get a chance to really look at it, so a little further back. Look at the contact here. Josh Green trying to make a move to the inside of Sundar Murthy coming through, and that's what we had said. Coming through turn number 10, Sundar Murthy had the kind of inside line as he was coming back across. Green didn't have the apex, right? Because you can see that it was right or left front to right rear contact. Those drivers go spinning off. Here's another shot coming through. Sundar Murthy may not have given him a lot of room either. The race directors will be looking at this. There's the contact coming through. That's a really tough call, and I'm glad Johnny Unser is going to have a look at this along with Tony Kottman and Joel Miller, because when you're making that corner, if the driver's kind of alongside, you got to give him a little bit of room. But then again, does Josh Green need to back out of that because he didn't have the corner coming into turn number 10? I'm sure they'll be looking at some in-car camera on that later on, but really the end is this. Sundar Murthy's down the order, Green's down the order, and sadly, Marcos Flack out of the race as well. He's into pit lane already for Flack. I'm wondering here right now for Marcos, let's see if this happens. They may be putting fresh tires on for him right now. The rubber down from IndyCar, so obviously things are going to be a lot different on the racetrack. Marcos Flack qualified P last, 15th position. Do they put fresh rubber on? Let him go out here and drop the hammer to see if he can't get a better lap. We talked about this in qualifying. For race number 3, it's your second fastest lap in qualifying or your fastest lap in race number 2, whichever is better. They may be trying to see if they can't leapfrog Marcos Flack up the order a little bit.
And why not use the tires? This is it.
Yeah. Otherwise, he's going to start from 15th again. We had a pretty good start there. Nobody made any mistakes. He wasn't able to make up the time, so we'll see if Flack is able to dial things in and work his way back forward. Gold, Porto, Foster, Ahmed, and Miller are the top 5. There they are. Then 6th and 7th is De Alba and Siegel. Nolan Siegel, of course, had the issue in the opening race. He and Jack William Miller getting together. So that was a tough one for him. That's going to allow those drivers in 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th a chance to potentially catch up to him in the order as well. Yeah, see, right now, De Alba, as he runs on the racetrack, about 44 points behind Ahmed in 3rd. 3rd, 4th, pretty close together. Ahmed now up into 3rd with 212 points back of Foster. Siegel only 7 points behind Ahmed, and then at 18 points, Eves behind Siegel. So Braden Eves, if he keeps running well, could potentially get himself up, but Siegel ahead of Braden Eves right now. 22 lapper, as we said here, as the race shortened a bit because of the extended IndyCar session, kind of pushing us up against the sunset here at Portland International Raceway. We still have USF 2000 to go, and then again, the ARCA Menard Series will come out for their practice session. We will not have a podium tonight for Indy Pro 2000. We'll put that off till tomorrow because we're essentially going to immediately roll out here with USF 2000. As soon as we get checkered flag here, these drivers will head right back to the paddock area. We'll give maybe 5 minutes an opportunity for the Indy Pro 2000 crews to get their tuggers back there, all the equipment back to the paddock as well. Other than that, we're going straight into USF 2000. Those cars are already on pit lane. We brought everybody out to pit lane, doing our best to maximize and optimize the time that we have available.
Like you said, we're trying to race against the sunset. We do not have lights down around the racetrack.
Reese Gold out to a 2.4 second lead, and it's not, it's a little bit of a situation that'll make maybe him feel a little bit better. A consolation prize of getting a win here, maybe getting another win in race number 3 on the weekend. Louis Foster does not have to push as hard. He's not going to risk crash damage here. No need to break some parts and get an expensive part bill to come off of his budget, because right now, P3, he's going to keep hounding Kiko Porto here. On the podium would be nice. He's got Namamed coming behind him. But Reese Gold, even if he could win both of these races, would not have enough to be able to take that championship away from Louis Foster, who is locked and loaded it. Here's a big move to the bottom of the racetrack there. As I think that was Bajoy Garg looking to potentially to the inside of Eves. I like the action. That was actually Foster going to the inside of Porto. Let me jump on that. That was actually Louis Foster. Look at this. That's Porto, Foster, Ahmed, and Miller. They're stacking it up for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and 5th. And maybe that's why Foster's starting to get a little bit nervous here right now, because Ahmed's right behind him. He wants to be on the podium. He's got to get by Kiko Porto. That's why he took the big look to the inside of turn number 1, because he's got a couple of challengers behind, Anam Ahmed and Jack William Miller. Ahmed's trying to keep himself in the third spot in points. Not out of the realm of possibility that Ahmed could potentially get by his teammate either with a big run if he's able to get himself up forward here. But at this point, there's a pretty big advantage. I want to say it's about almost 40 points right now between Gold and Ahmed. That would be insurmountable going into the final round. So Reese Gold, running currently in the second spot in points, first on the track, would lock in second place in points here, Phil, should they run as they are on the racetrack.
And that's the importance of running the race.
Yeah. Still lots to do. Kiko Porto holding back Louis Foster. Look at Foster trying to over-under him. He slips the car underneath. He's coming through turn number 2. Side by side over through turn number 3. Does he get the job done? He's trying to work the outside. And I think he is through. Book it. He is through. And that is Foster over-under on Porto. Turn 1, turn 2, turn 3. Finishes up on the entry to turn number 4. So move Foster up into second. Porto back to third, where he'll now have to challenge and try to defend from Anam Ahmed. And there's a fight further back as well. I believe that may be De Alba. Yeah, he's got by Nolan Siegel. So Salvador De Alba, I think, has got himself into 6th position. Indeed, he's in front of Nolan Siegel now. Big gap from Siegel back to Jordan Missig, who's battling with Braden Eves. So although the leader up the road by 4.7 seconds, Phil, we got a couple of pretty good races. A good scrap here. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Now make it 3rd, 4th, and 5th as Louis Foster stretching away. There's the fight between De Alba and Siegel. There's Missig, Eves, and the number 7, Agarg. Lindsey Brewer, I believe, currently running in 11th position. Sundar Murthy in 12th. Green 13th. I don't know whether or not is Brewer down a lap, waiting for her to come across the line. I know she was really complaining. She had a really good pace in the opening round, but was complaining of potentially hurting her wrist. And this is a track where, man, this car is a tough one to hustle around. No, she's still on the racetrack, as is Sundar Murthy, still on the lead lap. Brewer did a 1:11.6 last time by, so I think she may be nursing it a little bit. I know she was complaining about her wrist, as I said. It'll be good overnight for her to potentially get a chance to heal that, get some ice on it, and be able to come back here and cap off her Indy Pro 2000 season, where she ran 4 different events. Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Road America, Toronto, make it 5 events because she actually was a late entry into the Worldwide Technology Oval race, and then, of course, here in Portland as well. All focus, Phil, on trying to do a full season in 2023.
Exactly. And like I say, it's kind of impressive to watch Foster, even though he's already wrapped everything up. A racer always wants to win, but he'll be a little careful, too. He's not going to, like you said, tear stuff up.
Yep.
He's not going to make it too hard for somebody else that could maybe get up a few points.
Looking to see whether or not I think that indeed Marcos Flack, instead of trying to put fresh rubber, I think he actually may be done. I don't see him on the racetrack at all right now, so that could be it for Marcos Flack. Again, I thought he may have put on fresh rubber to try to get a better lap time, but it sounds like potential contact for Marcos, so he's out of the race in 15th. Jonathan Brown, 2 laps down, currently in 14th. Josh Green, a lap down after the contact between he and Sundar Murthy, leaving 12 drivers on the lead lap right now. Gold leading by 1.6 seconds. His lap time's just absolutely rocking, 0.2 quicker than Louis Foster last time by. Josh Green's turning good lap times, though, even though he's a lap back. Actually, no, he is still on the lead lap, but well back. 41 seconds back of Gold, 16 seconds back of Sundar Murthy, but he's one of the fastest drivers on the racetrack right now, Josh Green, in the Turn 3 Motorsport number 3 machine. Just unlucky they had the contact with Sundar Murthy. I am sure that Race Control will be having a good look at that contact through turns 10 and 11. Again, rolling right into USF 2000 after this. We'll throw the checkered flag to see who wins this thing. Just coming to the halfway point now, but will be a 22-lapper for Indy Pro 2000. They'll head right back to the paddock, and we'll line things up for USF 2000.
Rolling right along.
Yeah.
We're not even that far off schedule, maybe 35 minutes total.
Pushing hard to get it done. So drivers pushing hard out front here. Gold obviously looking for a big victory. He needs this right now. The consolation having not been able to get that championship. And Foster really has been the driver to watch, guys, throughout the middle part of the season. He just got on such a tear. You just knew that wherever he was going to roll off the trailer quick and find the speed he needed to. And he won a bunch of races. When he didn't win, he was finishing second. I kind of look back to the second race at Mid-Ohio where Kiko Porto was the leader. And I think Foster Probably could have got super aggressive. Probably could have thought about making some moves on a track, which is very tough to pass on. But Kiko was strong enough to hold Louis off, and he ended up finishing in second spot. It wasn't a win, but it's just another great point total. Everybody who was challenging him for the title was behind him, so it was really a win overall.
All right. Let's get a break. You deserve it. You've worked hard today. So
How was the press conference?
it was really good, actually. It was interesting to hear the guys talk about their. I don't know if they're complaining yet, and so I need to dig a little bit more into it. But they might not be happy with the setup of the chicane if they blow the corner. I believe my favorite quote was, "I don't know what is going to happen, but when you slam on the brakes, you need to figure out which sign to aim for."
Yeah, again, one of the things about that is you've got to set the chicane up. You've seen our drivers. We blew through it twice, right? Where do we go? If you blow on the braking zone really easy and you're going straight through, you get off it and go straight through. It's a pretty easy understanding of what to do. But if you're deep into the corner and then you bail out and you're kind of coming midway through the corner, what do? You have to come all the way back across? And that's something race control will look at, right? They'll take the feedback from the drivers in IndyCar. I'm sure it'll play well for whatever happens for our guys as well. They'll have to go have a look at it tomorrow morning if they do make any changes. But that's one of the big things about this racetrack is it's tough to be able to get through there. If you can't make the corner, you have to understand exactly how to approach it. Like you said, we don't want you going through signs. Those signs normally have those those sandbags in the bottom.
Yeah.
We saw Dalton Kellett do that a couple of years ago in Indy Lights. That's a clip that always comes up. He pounded that barrier, that sign with the sandbags. But again, it's got to be safe.
It does.
It's got to be negotiable to the point where you're still getting penalized for not making the corner.
Exactly, and that's what they talked about. They're like, hey, you got to find that sweet spot where if you take that, that emergency runoff area and then you have to navigate the signs, they're like, you actually get penalized a lot more than if you just would have missed one or two positions. So I know that race control will go and look at it. We saw them make that change in Nashville, where if you watch the Peacock stuff during practice, they're making fun of the porta potty that was right in the middle of the runoff area, saying, hey, how bad would it be if you had a course marshal was in there and all of a sudden an IndyCar blew through there and listen, it wasn't going to happen, but it could have. It still would have happened, but you're right. They will look at it, and so that's the big takeaway. Everybody was relatively happy with the speed. And again, you looked at the guys that were in there, were guys that were tested here last Friday. And so that's going to be the takeaway is where do you find the happiness? Scott Dixon and those guys, they tested down at Laguna Seca. Scott Dixon, 11th fastest in practice today.
They'll catch up. Don't worry about that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and they totally will.
That.
So you can't read into it too much, except for, okay, here's a storyline that, based off what we saw last Friday, is what we saw today. So going forward, I think it's really going to just come down to who can figure out the car in morning warm-up and then make the necessary changes in real time once they get into that first qualifying run.
Well, there's a reason why Penske came here this year, right? They came here because they didn't test here last year and they were a bit off here, right?
Yep.
That's the key. They tested well at Laguna Seca last year. I know Joseph talked about it, Scotty talked about it, that they were happy with the car at Laguna Seca. They know they got a pretty good package here, but they wanted to dial things in here. That's the thing. That's why you test at different racetracks. One of the things about here in Indy Pro 2000, so far away from our base, nobody comes here to test, and it really has been a level playing field, especially in USF 2000. But it needed, for me, watching IndyCar, it's awesome to see David Malukas doing what he did.
100%.
He's a former Indy Pro 2000, USF 2000 driver, came through the ranks, and of course found a lot of success in Indy Lights. So he is one of the Road to Indy graduates we're really proud of. And I think the coolest factor is people are getting to see how cool David Malukas is. He's such a unique young man. He's just he's a gentleman. He's that kind of guy, that quirky little personality that people are going to love in IndyCar. And I knew it was going to happen. Oh, this is the battle I love here right now, though. Let's keep an eye on this here right now. That's a fantastic scrap. Right now, I think that's between Eves and Garg. We have another battle up top there between Salvador de Alba and Siegel. So both those two, that's a Jay Howard driver development car fighting against a D-Force car. We have two of those going on right now. De Alba and Siegel separated by less than 0.2 of a second. Garg closing up here as well on Braden Eves. But that's a great scrap now for 6th and 7th.
Absolutely. And again, we've rubbered in the track enough that these guys are going to probably turn some faster lap speeds. So
I think the biggest thing, Bobby, is that when they rolled out here, now, of course, we've been waiting to come out, but anytime IndyCar comes on, the first handful of laps, these drivers are really figuring the racetrack out. They have not had a chance to be on the track with IndyCar rubber. It's radically different at some tracks. Some guys, sometimes it just brings us more grip. But a track like this, I think that they'll be like, okay, how do we handle 10, 11, and 12, when you're kind of crossing the grip level a little bit, where does my car start to break away? Am I getting more grip? Do I roll more corner speed? It's all about, you'd like to be experimenting in practice. Experimenting in race number 2 makes things a little bit tougher. That is second, rather third, fourth, and fifth coming through the Festival Chicane right now. Here is 6th and 7th. That's the battle between De Alba and Siegel. And then we go back to Jordan Missing in 8th, trying to get another top 10 finish. Eves in 9th, Garg in 10th. Bajoy dropping back a little bit now as Eves kind of pulling away a 10th of a second at a time. But the best battle on the racetrack right now, I think, is for 6th and 7th as Nolan Siegel keeps putting his head down to try to get up to Salvador de Alba.
Let me ask you this. So you mentioned you guys are based a far way away from the northwest of Portland. How many test dates do you guys get to actually get out there and figure out the car?
Well, and that's the biggest thing. What we do is because testing is so expensive, we don't allow the teams to go out and do a lot of testing, especially the racetracks we run on. We normally will run a test day the day before an event, right?
Okay.
So when we go to a Road America, any of the track we can do, a Road America, a Mid-Ohio, a Barber, even Portland, right? We tested yesterday. We didn't roll in here and have just the 5 sessions. We gave them 2 45-minute sessions yesterday. So they were on the racetrack for an hour and a half yesterday before we rolled in to a 30-minute official practice. So to keep the budgets low, we can't just allow them going testing like crazy because every time you test, it's a bunch of money. We do a lot of off-season testing. That's not restricted. But as soon as we start the first race of the season, drivers who are championship drivers are restricted to only a couple of official test days that we run. And then, of course, the pre-race test day, the promoters test day on the Thursday of the race weekend.
So if I'm going to launch a team into either USF 2000 or Pro Indy 2000, and it's the off-season, I can test as much as I want?
You can. Indeed. You can test as much as you want. Now, granted, there's only so much money you have budget-wise, right? So most people will try to test at the right places. Remember, the one thing is there's only so many places you can test in January, February, and March. You're not testing at Mid-Ohio. You're not testing at Road America. You're testing at Homestead, Sebring, maybe NOLA. There's a couple of test tracks that are not really big like competition tracks that they'll go to test at as well. There's just not many places you can test in January and February. So really you're down there just doing certain events. We have a program called the Academy Program by Gustavo Yakiman, who's our series director, the manager for our USF Juniors program. He runs a bunch of programs down in Florida, allowing drivers to have some good seat time, and he does a winter series as well for some of our younger drivers. So it's really limited where you can test. You can test as much as you want, but Homestead really doesn't do much for you when you're thinking about trying to run a Road America.
Right. I'm trying to picture one of these cars with a snowplow on the front of it.
Exactly that, right?
No testing in Portland by any means in January.
No, exactly. Unless it's you throw rain tires on, but that's a different story for a different day. That is just fascinating to me. I've always wondered how you guys develop that test pattern because, obviously, summertime I would be like, hey, as much as possible, we have an off weekend, let's go test. But that makes sense to keep the balance fair.
What they can do is they can test drivers all summer long that aren't championship drivers. So if you or I wanted to, say, prep for USF 2000, you and I could test all summer long. We're not a championship driver, so we can drive as much as we want, testing throughout the summer to go to the next season. But you can't test a driver who's already in the series. The minute you start one race, you become officially a championship driver in the season. You can't do any more testing. That's really the concept to keep the budget down. Sure. Yeah, we want to develop drivers, but you got to keep the budgets down. It's a lot of money to race. It takes a lot of people to do this as well. So that's really the key. Time winding down, though. What do we got? 4 laps to go for Reese Gold. He has a 5-second lead over Louis Foster. This battle, though, for 6, not done, between Salvador de Alba and Nolan Siegel. I like this scrap. De Alba from Mexico, Siegel from California. And look at them coming across the line, just 0.2 of a second. Oh, Siegel throws it down the bottom, locks up the right front, and that could be trouble. The minute you start locking the tire, but wants to do it again and again, you'll flat spot it a little bit. But what that shows is Siegel is pushing. Here's a driver who's already tested an Indy Lights car this year, may do it again later on. We're not sure whether or not he's going Indy Lights racing next year. If he does come back, Nolan Siegel, hands down, primary championship contender. This young man has developed so greatly over the last 4 years. I think he'd be the driver to beat in the championship fight. But right now, he is scrapping with De Alba for 6th position, and he's trying to hold himself back up into 3rd in points because as they run on the racetrack, Anam Ahmed's been able to go ahead of him by 7 points. Siegel falling from 3rd to 4th. Ahmed currently running 4th, jumping his way up to P3 in the standings.
Let me ask you this real quick. Obviously, we know that, Louis Foster is going to take the scholarship. What does 2nd, 3rd, and 4th get?
To be honest, they don't get anything.
Okay.
There's a minor amount of money that they get because the bottom line is this thing's all about trying to give the money to the champion to be able to move forward. You know, we have the purse money we have primary for the pole position coming from Cooper Tires. We have a number of different prizes that we give out at the championship banquet, but this thing's top loaded, man. It's all about trying to win this championship and move up to the next level. Otherwise, finishing second is like finishing second in any series around the open wheel series around the world. Pretty much nothing in terms of point of money. You're getting experience to try to move to the next level.
Gotcha.
That's
Okay.
what it's all about.
That makes sense. 3 laps to go. Fantastic battle still going on. He was running on his gearbox. He almost was able to pull off the over-under going through, that first and second corner, but just not enough there. Went a little sideways, and I think you're right. I think he just hit the brakes a little too hard.
Well, and again, the reason you do it is not even so much to make the pass. It's to start to push the driver in front of you to make a mistake. You want to get in their mirrors. You want to kind of get in there and let them hear that you're coming in because maybe they'll cook the brakes up. Maybe they'll overcook it. Maybe they'll just drive a little too hard deep into the corner. That's your key. Force the driver in front of you to make a mistake by keeping the pressure constant, looking left, looking right, staying in their mirrors. And this is a racetrack, especially through 10, 11, and 12. All they got to do is drop a wheel. You push them hard enough, you can potentially get by. And this is look at this. This fight further back is amazing here as well. That is behind De Alba and Siegel. They'll come across the line. That's Jordan Missig. He's about a second ahead, I believe, of Braden Eves. And only 0.7 of a second now. They're all closing up pretty big time now. As it looks to me like, De Alba has gotten by Missig. No, Missig's gotten by Siegel. Not sure what happened to Nolan Siegel there, but Jordan Missig has got by. He's moved his way up to 7th. Siegel goes back to P8.
Fantastic battle right there. He had a run off of him, and I think going down into the corner, he was able to pull off the pass because that's where we have seen a majority of the passes happen on this track so far today.
And here comes 6th and 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. So right there's 6. That's De Alba. Look at that was a big move to the bottom there as Siegel having a look to the inside of Missig as they work their way onto the back straightaway right now. Missig having a good run here into 7th, and this is big for him coming off that. He was qualifying at Worldwide Technology Raceway, lost the rear end of the car in turn 3 and 4, backed into the wall, wasn't able to make the race. I know he was super excited to get a chance to run that 1.25-mile oval, but to be able to come back now, this would be his second consecutive top 10, and a good job for Jordan Missig, who's trying to get himself up into the top 10 in points, and he is almost there, actually, getting ready to battle it out with his teammate Euven Sundaramurthy for that final position within the top 10. Missig currently running 7th, but Siegel only a half a second back. White flag flying at the start-finish line for Reese Gold to grab another victory on the season and cement his position in P2 in the championship. He's been incredibly impressive to watch throughout his entire road to Indy career thus far. Expecting Reese to make the move up into the Indy Indy Lights Series in 2023. It'll be a calculated move for him. And again, the young driver from Florida celebrating a birthday today as well. 18 years of age. Started USF 2000 at 14. 18 years of age right now. His birthday. What a great way to celebrate it is to cap things off with a race win. And he'll roll out onto the front straightaway. Second race of the weekend. The Cooper Tires Indy Pro 2000 GP of Portland goes to the driver from Hunkos Hollinger Racing, Reese Gold, the winner. A dominant run as well as he wins by over 3.5 seconds from Louis Foster, holding on to P2. Foster backing up his win from race number 1. With a tremendous drive to second. Another podium for Louis Foster. We'll do that podium tomorrow. Gold, Foster, and Kiko Porto back on the podium again. This is a great run for Kiko as he's starting to put things together in the second half of the season, having really battled hard early on as the reigning USF 2000 champion. Anam Ahmed, another run. He was on the podium in race number 1. He'll be 4th in race number 2, so a couple of top 5s for him. And here is the battle coming down to the line as Lindsey Brewer trying to hold off Josh Green coming to the stripe right now. Does Green get enough? He does not. She'll finish 12th. Green 13th. Brown 14th. As it's Reese Gold with the win by 3.5 seconds. Foster and Porto second and third to complete your podium. Anam Ahmed and a good run for Jack William Miller coming back after the incident in race number 1. He finishes P5. Salvador De Alba in 6th spot. 7th, Jordan Missig. 8th, Nolan Siegel. 9th, Braden Eves. And 10th is Bejoy Garg. Indy Pro 2000 wrapping up their second race of the day, a shortened 22-lap race. They'll take these cars, guys, right back to the paddock as we're going to start lining things up for USF 2000. No podium right now. We'll be going green flag racing with those drivers in USF 2000. Really just a couple of minutes, I believe.
Some really great racing that we saw. And again, third race of the day now done. We've got one more to go. And then Arca Menard West Series will be up on for a practice session. But I'm loving the racing now. You know, we talk about cars that are great that, you know, just sprint out there and they run away with it. It is great to have guys battling for position outside of what we just see on the first lap, because that is what is exciting. That's what is keeping fans in the stands. The ability for these cars to stay close and battle for position is fantastic.
Yeah, I like what we're seeing out of these young drivers here. They've really kind of got a feel for this racetrack now. You see they've all kind of settled in. Everybody's got good pace. We've seen some pretty good passes. They finally were able to get through the opening corners. You weren't here to see the start, and they actually gave each other enough room. Everybody got through pretty cleanly, which was nice. But again, looking forward to potentially doing the same thing here with USF 2000. Those drivers, of course, will be rolling out here momentarily. Probably take the opportunity here on the Road to Indy TV program to take a quick break. When we do get back, we'll line things up. We'll get USF 2000, give you the driver intro. So don't go anywhere if you're tuning here in on Road to Indy TV. We'll be back. USF 2000 up next.